Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Perfectly Imperfect podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Minnie, and thank you so much for being here today and spending some time with me. Today is a very special episode because I'm recording on October 15th, 2025, which is my 25th birthday. I can't quite believe I'm now entering my mid-20s, no longer an early 20s girl. I feel really good. I feel really grounded. I feel really at peace in my body today. And I have not been feeling that way very often lately. So I'm honestly just trying to take it moment by moment today and every day recently and just allow myself to feel good when I feel good and allow myself to feel rough when I feel rough. And I know that every moment, every emotion passes. So there will be some down moments, but I'm riding a high today and I feel so loved and I feel so grateful and I feel just so full of energy, honestly. Hence why I am recording this podcast. I have just been in a major creative rut recently, and that has caused my podcast and my posting and my YouTube to kind of suffer in a way, but I'm trying not to view it that it's suffering. It's just I haven't been consistent. When yes, it was my goal to be consistent and show up and really try to build a cadence and a rhythm that works for me, I haven't found that yet, and that's okay. So maybe I'll just make that one of my goals for 25. But today I knew I wanted to sit down, and having this energy and just feeling so loved, I feel inspired to share with you some lessons that I've learned in 25 years. I feel like this is such a basic birthday podcast episode, but I want to share it. And I love listening to these. I love listening to people's reflections on their birthdays. And at times I find I'm able to learn from some of the things they said maybe they regret or made mistakes about. So if you can take anything from this, that warms my heart and is incredible. Before we get into it though, if you aren't following the podcast, feel free to follow along wherever you listen, on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you want to leave a special birthday message or a 5-star review, if you feel called, that would be so greatly appreciated. My DMs are always open at jenny.minnie on Instagram, or you can find the podcast Instagram, perfectlyimperfect.pod. So follow along, stay in touch, and let's get into the episode. First lesson that I've learned in 25 years is that truly nobody cares what you do with your life and the decisions that you make on a daily basis. Ultimately, this life is your life and you have to make decisions for yourself. This one I decided to do number one because it's still something that I'm learning, and I'm very much in the process of learning this lesson. But it's something I want to share, and something I find so important is just to let go of what people think, let go of other people's reactions, let go of other people's opinions on how you choose to live your life. I have lived my life caring about this and worrying about this and being anxious about this and how I'm perceived and how I'm seen. And it's just caused me to feel so much anxiety and so much worry about the smallest little changes in life and the decisions. This is something I'm really working to break apart and crack. It's a very much ingrained in my body and my brain thought process, but I'm trying to make it less of an importance and kind of bump it down on the hierarchy level of what I include and, the things that I weigh when I make a decision. I want the highest piece of that ladder to be how I feel, what my intuition says, and that's it. If you need to consider others, of course, there are going to be some decisions that need to consider other people's opinions, but at the core, I want to make decisions for myself, and I'm learning that lesson. Number two, this is cliche, you've heard it before, but comparison truly is the thief of joy. This is something I think definitely living in New York, this lesson slapped me right across the face, because it's so easy to compare yourself. There are people living so many different lives in New York City, and I found myself caught in comparison loops so often, to the point that I just, wasn't able to recognize the positives in my life and the things that the cool things that I do and that I have in my life, because I was just constantly looking at others and comparing in so many aspects of my life, my appearance, my relationship, my friendships, my work, like what I do day to day, where I go, what coffee shops that I go to, like all of that. The fun part of life is being able to make those decisions for yourself and carve your own unique path. You don't need to be doing what everyone else is doing. If you like to do what's trending, that's totally fine. But if it's coming from a genuine, authentic place, and you're not doing it out of comparison or feeling behind, then I think that's great. And I do the same thing too. So just really trying to notice and catch when that comparison is creeping in. Number 3 is that perfectionism is never the answer. Perfectionism and I, we have a rough relationship. She's ever present. I don't think is going anywhere anytime soon. And I've just had to learn to navigate her. And, that's the inspiration for this podcast title. And I feel like it's just an overarching theme that I'm working through in my life and will probably be working on forever. It's an ongoing journey. And I think a lot of these lessons sort of fall under the category of perfectionism. Definitely the first one, being worried about what other people think of you and how they see you. That's perfectionism right there, just trying to show up perfectly and never falling short of anything. But that is just so unrealistic to ask of ourselves. We're human beings, we're not robots. And I think I want to just start appreciating and embracing the humanness of myself. I already embrace the humanness of everyone else and my friends and my family. I don't expect them to be perfect. So why am I expecting myself to show up perfectly? That's a big lesson, that whenever my brain is saying, you need to do this perfectly, you need to finish it this way, you need to da-da-da-da-da-da, we don't have to listen to that. We can take it with a grain of salt. Maybe we try for 30 minutes. And if it's not working, that's okay. You deserve to show up. You deserve to post. You deserve to you deserve to try, even if you don't feel perfect. Lesson 4 is just to travel. I feel so incredibly grateful that I've had the opportunity to travel throughout my life. Growing up with parents from the UK, we traveled to the UK at least once a year. So I, from a young age, have felt comfortable on planes, comfortable traveling. And now as an adult, working my job, I've been able to save up and take myself on trips. And I feel like every single trip that I do, I learn something new about myself. You're put in new situations. Maybe you're surrounded by a foreign language and a new type of culture. It only helps you grow and become, a more expanded person. I will always recommend traveling, studying abroad if you're a student, if you get the opportunity to, living somewhere new. I mean, I'm moving to Paris and I'm scared. It's definitely new and I don't know exactly what it's going to be like, but I know that I'll grow and expand because of it. Number 5 is educate yourself on finances, invest your money if you're able to, but don't let it consume you to the point that you don't allow yourself to enjoy spending money and enjoy the things that you spend money on. This is something I've been really focusing on, honestly, the last 6 months. Now that I've had a consistent full-time job for about a year and a half now, just learning to manage my money and kind of knowing what to do with the money that I receive and, really asking myself how I want to use it has been so important, because the world will offer you many different ways to use it, and marketing will obviously tell you that you need to use it on their products, and all of that can be so tempting. And once you kind of start making money, you feel like, oh, I can afford these things now. I can do these things now. And I definitely have had moments like that where I kind of don't really think about the future and I just think about what I want in the moment. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I've definitely left those moments thinking, I want to be a little bit more mindful in the future. I want to be a little bit more future thinking, but key is not obsessively future thinking. So just educating myself on what investing is, how to do it, how it works, just the basics has been honestly so helpful, because I've now opened my eyes to see the possibilities of the outcomes that can come of investing. That's a big lesson that I've learned, and I feel like I want to keep growing and learning, being financially aware and setting myself up in the way that works best for me in my life. Lesson number 6 that I've learned is that recognizing and giving space to your fears is much better than avoiding them. I have always been avoidant of my fears. I've always tried to push away my fears, any sort of discomfort or uncomfortable emotion that I felt. I just sort of was like, no, I don't want to feel that. I want to just be able to do what I'm trying to do. But that's just led to the shoved closet door that I was talking about in my last episode. Just sort of stuffing emotions, shoving them down, and they don't go anywhere. They sit and then they eventually come back up. And I feel like throughout my 20s, I've just been dealing with all the emotions coming back up. And it's been so uncomfortable and scary and overwhelming for so much of the time. But a huge lesson that I've learned through this is that the best thing you can do for yourself in moments like that, when you're feeling a lot of emotions, when maybe your emotions are coming back after being suppressed, is to just allow yourself to feel it. That's not going to feel intuitive. I mean, the way our brains are wired is when we feel discomfort or we feel fear, we run away. We go into that fight or flight mode. And so it takes a conscious effort to bring your body down into the rest and digest mode. And it's not easy for sure, especially when you're feeling fearful. You're now telling your body, okay, don't be scared, you're safe, it's okay. But in your brain, it's like, this is scary. It's something I'm definitely still learning. And, the practice of somatic practices and coming down into my body, I feel like I've made strides in, but again, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect at it. Just trying, I feel like, is the best thing we can do for ourselves and for our mental health. Lesson number 7 is to be vulnerable. Tell people how you feel, skip the small talk, and have deep conversations. In my opinion, and a lesson that I've learned, is that this is one of the only ways to really build deep friendships and deep connections and allow yourself to be seen for the raw and authentic person that you are and the imperfect person that you are. And I honestly have noticed and found that people connect and resonate more with that side of you rather than any sort of perfected facade, quote unquote, that you might put on. This is a big lesson for me and something that recently I have been struggling with. I've been not wanting to be vulnerable. It's felt too scary and overwhelming to be vulnerable. And it is scary and overwhelming. And I think it's okay to feel scared and overwhelmed and do it anyway. Like I always say, feel the fear and do it anyway. You can use that with anything, and vulnerability can definitely be one of those. Lesson number 8 is there is so much power in the journey of gaining internal validation. This is a big lesson I had to include in here because similarly to kind of the perfectionism and the lack of confidence, I have struggled with feeling like I need external validation and that my worthiness and my value is based off of what people say about me, how they perceive me, or the things that I achieve and do. And that's been a big unpacking and unwiring of my brain over the last 5 years to just break that down and just remind myself that I'm valid and I'm worthy just being here, being alive, being a human. It's a chance that we get to live this life and be here. And I just want to remind myself and all of you of the preciousness of life. Grounding yourself any way you can with internal validation and reminding yourself that you're allowed to be here just because you're here, and you're allowed to show up in any way that you're able to show up, and that external validation is not the criteria for how much love and how much worth you have in this world. Number 9 is just to take care of your mind. This is something, again, before my 20s, I really did not think about at all. I didn't think about meditation. I did journal. I journaled a little bit, but more as just a diary to keep track of what's going on. I didn't really kind of unpack my thoughts or, how I feel. Taking care of your mind, is just so important and something that so many people overlook, and it isn't as focused on. And I'm grateful that it's becoming something more focused on, but definitely in my education as a younger child in school, it was all about your physical education and your physical body and your physical health. But there's so much complexities and so much that's needed to be done to maintain your mental health as well. So just like taking care of your mind is very important. The 10th lesson that I have learned in the last 25 years is to take care of your body. But the key with this one is to not obsess with taking care of your body. I have had experience, lived experience with my eating disorder and anorexia, where I did not take care of my body at all for quite a while. And I was living under the guise of my eating disorder that I was taking care of my body and that I was doing what's best for it and that I was being quote unquote healthy, but I really wasn't. I was consumed by society, beauty standards, what people thought of me, and underneath it all, I was just feeling a huge lack of control in my life and a lack of control of myself and knowing who I was. And so I've realized now that the illness served a purpose of giving me an identity and giving me some sort of roots to define myself for myself. But it was warped and it was disordered and it really wasn't trying to do the best thing for me. And so kind of having to wade through that and find the girl underneath of who I truly am has been an incredibly tough journey. I'm so grateful for the support that I've had from online, from my friends, from professionals, just to get where I am today. And it's taught me this one, very important lesson, or two very important lessons: to take care of your mind and to take care of your body. But don't obsess over it. And neither with the mind or the body. Like I said before, we're imperfect, we're human, we fluctuate. There are going to be moments where you are stressed, and that's okay. And you don't need to beat yourself up that you're stressed and that you aren't taking care of your mind in the quote unquote right way. Or there'll be days where you miss a workout or you sit at your laptop all day. There's no reason to beat yourself up about that either, because we're human, we're imperfect. And as long as we have an intention and we are just looking out for ourselves and that we're honoring when we really do need to take that time to step outside, go on a walk, or sit down and journal and meditate, then that's all we can ask of ourselves. And that also helps build self-trust. Kind of a bonus lesson that I've learned is that even when you feel like it's overwhelming to do the sort of quote unquote self-care things to take care of your mind and your body, there's been so many times where I feel so overwhelmed by that to the point that I just don't do any of it. So it's like I know what I need to do in my brain and I know what I need to do in my body, but I just don't do it because I'm like, it takes too much effort. It's too overwhelming. I don't know what to start, or I feel so low right now that I don't think any of those things will help. I've been there, and I've honestly have been there in the last month. And one thing that I'm really trying to remind myself is that just taking one small step in the direction of caring for your mind or your body is better than nothing. That's another lesson, a bonus lesson. Lesson number 11 is that you may want someone to tell you what to do or what next step to take in life, but I've learned that the true joys in life come from living it for yourself. This life is yours, and you are allowed to let yourself own it, let yourself live it just for you. Being selfish can sometimes be the most selfless thing you can do. Putting yourself first in moments where you need to and really validating your opinions, your desires, and your goals is truly how you're going to be happy and fulfilled in life. And living it according to others, living it according to what others think you should be living, may get you pretty far. It got me through middle school, high school, most of college, where I feel like I was just kind of living according to these expectations or just what people around me were saying, and kind of telling myself, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to go that direction. And I feel like it's only been in the last few years, honestly, that I've been like, I don't want to feel constricted to only living in that way and living according to what's quote unquote normal or logical or quote unquote makes sense. I was listening to a podcast with Emma Grede and what's her name? She's a brain neurologist. I will link it down below. The scientist, the guest that she had on the podcast, was talking about how if we just start making small, illogical decisions each day, that is a way to build your intuition and build your trust in your intuition and just strengthen your intuition overall. I feel like I fell into the habit of listening to the world around me, listening to the people around me, and asking for opinions and taking their advice because I just didn't have a strong intuition. And I feel like the last few years of strengthening that has been scary and overwhelming and kind of isolating at times because there have been moments where I just don't agree with anyone around me. And I kind of find myself defaulting to thinking that I'm quote unquote wrong because I don't agree with those around me. But that's something I'm working to rewire and reframe for myself. But this act of doing small illogical decisions, but that feel good to you, has honestly been so helpful for me. And it's honestly been able to let me catch myself when I'm making a logical decision. For example, I have my birthday party coming up and my intuition was saying I really wanted a carrot cake. I don't really know why, but I remember having a really good carrot cake once and I was like, that could be kind of fun, like something different from vanilla or chocolate cake. And then in my mind, I was like, oh, what if other people don't like it? It's a different kind of cake. Like it's not usual birthday cake. It feels illogical. Let me change the order to a regular cake. And so I did. I emailed them, ordered it to a regular cake. But then I was talking to my mom this morning and she was like, oh, why did you do that? Like, I love carrot cake. And I was like, yeah, why did I do that? I fully just did that because I made up this story in my mind that people were going to hate it and that they would be confused why I made that decision. But ultimately, it doesn't matter what they think. It's my birthday. It's my birthday cake. And my intuition was telling me carrot cake. So now I'm getting a carrot cake, birthday cake, and I'm very excited. Lesson number 12, sleep is everything. Hopefully you guys already know, but just sleep is so incredibly important. Also, the podcast I was just talking about with that brain scientist, she talked about sleep. Sleep is just so important, and it is a lesson that, again, has slapped me across the face. I've had horrible sleep habits in my life, and I'm really trying to break them down and rewire them and build new habits to actually get enough sleep. Days just go so much better when you have a good sleep. That's all I'm going to say with that. Lesson number 13 is that it's really cool to speak your mind and take up space, and also to be the first one to talk. I feel like for my whole entire life, I have never been the first one to raise my hand. I've never been the first one to talk. And when school went online in COVID and quarantine, I was never the first one to speak on Zoom and just had so much anxiety about being called out by the professor or having to speak before anyone else. It was just brought me so much anxiety to speak up and share my mind. But I'm working through that and I'm breaking it down, and it's been really cool to feel some moments recently where I'm just taking up space on a call or in a conversation or in a class. I'm just taking up space, sharing my thoughts, and in turn validating myself and my opinions and my thoughts throughout that process of just allowing myself to speak and show up. Yes, it's scary at times, and yes, there's times where I'm like, I could just not say anything, but I challenge myself to say something. And yeah, it's been feeling really good. Lesson number 14 is that one of the keys to navigating hard emotions that I've learned in the last 25 years is not to find ways not to feel them ever again, but it's actually to fully feel them and hold space for them, because usually these emotions are just trying to communicate something to you. I feel like this one very much connects to kind of recognizing your fears and giving space to them, but this lesson kind of digs into the element that your fears or your anxieties or the uncomfortable emotions you feel are actually trying to tell you something. And it's not all bad, it's not all negative. There might be something that you can use from that and useful information for you to learn from. And I feel like if we're so quick to just push away any discomfort, not let ourselves feel, we miss the opportunity to take that lesson and take that piece of maybe really important information from the emotions that you're feeling. Lesson number 15 is that internal family systems therapy really, really works. This is something I was honestly a bit hesitant to lean into, and I've been with my therapist for over a year now, and I feel like I've just, in the last 6 months, really been getting it and really been kind of using it outside of therapy and using it in my day-to-day life. But I spoke about it briefly on my World Mental Health Day Instagram post. Basically, it's just the practice of quote unquote like speaking to your internal parts. Like for me, I have like a child self. I have like the eating disorder self. I have like the, really scared, insecure, doesn't want to mess up any plans, wants to just go with the flow, doesn't want to speak up. And so when I'm feeling discomfort or feeling anxiety or feeling certain hard emotions, I use this practice to kind of break down and try to just listen to see which part is showing up and what they're needing in that moment. So for example, like with my childlike self, she's been coming up a lot while being in my childhood home, back in my hometown. So when I've been feeling some hard emotions recently, I've been seeing my child self and trying to hold her and give space to her and kind of re-feeling all the fear and the doubt and, maybe some of the pressure that little Jenny felt in her childhood that she just didn't have the tools to navigate or work through properly, which now I have those tools. And so internal family systems is kind of a way of like holding these parts of yourself, letting them say their piece, letting them share why they're here and why they're maybe screaming at you, and allowing yourself to be like, I hear you and I got you, we're going to get through this. Lesson number 16 is that if you believe in yourself and you speak about what you do and you enjoy what you do with confidence, people around you will tend not to question you as much. They still might not agree though, but if you are presenting confidently, they probably more likely will respect it and, take it seriously. It just kind of is like if you take yourself seriously, like other people will take yourself seriously. And I feel like I've been on both sides of this. When I sort of dumb down what I'm doing or my ideas, like it doesn't really give room for the other person to really like converse with you about it or dig deep into it because you yourself aren't digging deep into like explaining whatever you're trying to explain. But then in moments where I've shown up and been like, yeah, I'm really excited about this. Like, I think it's incredible that this is happening or that I'm building this connection or this community or, just maybe talking about like a project you're doing or a new friendship that you made or something, an event that you went to. Just speaking with more passion and allowing yourself to show up confidently in what you're speaking about will also enable just richer and deeper conversation about that with other people. Lesson number 17 is that you are not responsible for the emotions or the reactions of others. How others feel and how others react is 100% out of our control. And I know I have a brain that wants to control that and hates the idea that I made someone upset or that they reacted strongly because of what I said or what I did. But ultimately, every single human being deals with things in very different ways and feels very different emotions and has very different reactions. So how you might react to something will look completely different to how someone might react to the same thing. I think just allowing ourselves to release the idea that we need to control that or that we're responsible for that is so incredibly freeing. It's hard, but so freeing. Lesson number 18 is that the friends that you lose while you're being your authentic self or maybe growing into your authentic self were never meant to stick around. I've talked about this a lot with like episodes on friendship, and I've lost some friends throughout my journey and throughout the last 5 years of really getting to know myself. I've, felt a lot of feelings about it and felt really sad at times that I don't have these connections. And there's nothing stopping me reaching back out. But I think there's also merit in recognizing that certain relationships and certain friendships serve their purpose for that time. And it's okay to not want to reach back out. It's okay to not want to rekindle every single connection and relationship and friendship you've ever had. And sometimes it's the best thing to not do that and just to let it stay where it was. Lesson number 19 is to speak about the elephant in the room. This is something I definitely still find myself a little bit hesitant to do, but have been learning and progressing in a lot recently. I find that it just makes things more uncomfortable and more awkward when no one's talking about the elephant in the room or talking about, the thing that no one's talking about, but low-key really should be. I feel personally, and I'm learning, that breaking down any shame and any stigma around these things and around the elephant in the room is often so necessary, but no one wants to be the first one to do that. No one wants to be the one who makes people feel uncomfortable. I don't know, I feel like just talking about the uncomfortable things really unites people and connects people on a deeper level as well. And so that's just something I'm trying to kind of carry with me into conversations and into social spaces, is to just talk about things, even if it is a little uncomfortable or controversial. Like, let yourself sit in that discomfort and let it be a healthy challenge for you and maybe the other person that you're conversing with or the group of people. Lesson number 20 is to become self-aware. Just, I don't know, that's it. Just find a way to become self-aware. Recognize your emotions, recognize your feelings, recognize your reactions to things, recognize your opinions. Just really try to get to know yourself on a deeper level. For myself, I've been able to do that through therapy and through journaling and reflecting, and, you know, a lot of online resources as well, like social media, as much as it can be, you know, not very helpful and not very useful. I feel like it's helped me realize certain parts of myself in certain ways, which has been great to building my self-awareness. Lesson number 21, put the phone down. This is a lesson that I need to take more often, but I have been really leaning into the last few months. I feel like I've just been so not inclined to scroll and be on my phone, and just honestly feel more stress and anxiety when I'm on my phone so much. The phones are very powerful tools, and it's crazy now that people have whole entire jobs just off of what they do on their phone. And so, you know, we feel this tie, we feel this emotional connection to our phones. And it makes sense because some people's entire livelihood is riding on the functionality of their phone and what they can do on it. But I think like any job, like anything, we need a break. Too much of anything is never good. So giving yourself a break from your phone when you can is so important. Lesson number 22 is to speak about your dreams and your goals with people. You never know what connections someone might have or what advice they might be able to give. I feel like for a while I was the person who was like, I'm not going to speak about anything until like I've done it, until it's perfect, until it's like, you know, captured and ready. But that was just holding me back from actually like moving forward with anything. And I feel like once I actually started talking about like my dreams of like being a freelance graphic designer and doing brand design and website design, and, you know, my dreams of maybe pursuing content more and building this podcast and building my community, like once I actually like talked about that and told people, and kind of going back to the point of like speaking with confidence, I feel like I connected with the right people. And I just feel like I was finding myself in spaces with like-minded, creative, entrepreneurial women, content creators, founders, designers. And it was all just because I allowed myself and I pushed through that fear of talking about what I'm doing, even if it doesn't feel like quote unquote packaged perfectly or ready. Just allowing myself to speak about these things and put it out there in the universe that this is something I want to do and I feel called to do has been so powerful. Lesson number 23 is that not wearing makeup has honestly been the biggest confidence booster to my physical appearance. I stopped wearing makeup. I used to wear makeup every single day, like in high school. And then in quarantine, I just kind of got fed up with having to put on makeup and feeling deeply insecure every time I didn't wear makeup, because also there was no social things to do. So I was like, okay, this is something I've been wanting to do, but I've been scared to do. So maybe this is a perfect time to, you know, really give it a chance, because I am not interacting with other humans at all. And it's honestly just so freeing. Like I can't imagine what my life would be like if I still felt the need to wear makeup every single day and felt the need from like a place of insecurity and anxiety, not from a place of like, I want to put on makeup because it's fun and it's like adding to my look, which is how I feel today. I'm not wearing any makeup now. I have this huge pimple on my right cheekbone, which has not been going away, but we're meeting myself with compassion and kindness and allowing ourselves to show up with a bare face, which feels so empowering. So that's a big lesson I've learned. Lesson number 24 is that the more you try to control food, the more it controls you. This is something I have learned in my life and have gone through experiences of trying to control my food, trying to build rules and rigidness around diet and exercise and what I eat and just all of that. I have lived that and felt consumed by it, and it's not fun. It's not worth it. Food truly has so many layers to it, and it's such an important piece of life. It's what keeps us alive. It's what keeps our bodies functioning. It's what keeps ourselves, just here. And it is so quickly demonized and so quickly put in a negative light by society. And it's gotten me. And I know it's gotten so many other people in the world. And I think just learning the lesson that all of those diets, all of those rules, all of that rigidness around food doesn't actually get you where you want to be is obviously disappointing and very frustrating, and can feel like you are completely out of control because all of the things that the media and that the world is telling you is true doesn't actually end up being true. And so you may feel lost, you may feel confused. That may make you feel like you need to grip the control even harder. But a huge lesson that I've learned is that releasing that control, releasing that grip, and just letting yourself be intuitive with your food, like you would try to let yourself be intuitive with your decisions or, the outfit that you want to wear that day. Just allow yourself to listen to your body and build and strengthen that muscle to listen to your body and, build that awareness with yourself. Allow yourself to enjoy food. Food is fuel, but it also is so much more than fuel. It's a way to socialize. It's a way to connect with people. And it can just be such a wonderful way to, add to an event, add to an experience. And, I'm never, ever going to lose my matcha and pastries from cafes ever again, because life is just so much sweeter, literally and figuratively, with wonderful food. Lesson number 25, and the last lesson today, is to strive to become your own friend. I've talked about this so much, and I've talked about solo dates, solo travel, and just the benefits I felt from becoming my own friend and, becoming my own best friend as well. Because supporting yourself, standing up for yourself, getting out of your own way when you need to as well, and just like meeting yourself with compassion and patience, just like you would a best friend, is one of the best things you can do for yourself, one of the best things you can do to build a relationship with yourselves, and one of the best things you can do just to build trust, confidence, and just like navigate your life and your decisions with confidence as well. It just sprinkles into so many different areas of life, and any way that anyone can learn to become their own best friend or go on a journey or solo travel or go on solo dates, I just 100% support that, because it has been so incredibly impactful in my life and just changed the trajectory of the relationship with myself. And I'm just so incredibly grateful for this journey that I'm on. Thank you so much for listening. If any of these lessons resonated with you, I would love to hear in the comments below which lesson resonated with you, or if there's any lessons that you've learned in your wonderful lives, put them down below. We can make sort of like a community of lessons and, things we've learned and reflections and anything like that. So thank you so much again, and I'll catch you in the next episode.